Okay, this is better than... I went on a rant the other day. And I thought about it. I was like, no. You're taking things too personal. Let heaven's judgment happen. You got a problem with this fella? Let heaven's judgment happen. So I really had to think about, and I was like, oh God, I was sitting on it 48 hours. I really went off. It was, and actually, I should admit it. I should confess. Make this my confessional. My streetlight confessional. I don't even know what that is. I know it was like some kind of band or something, right? Anyway. My exurban confessional. I was quite sore at Jello Biafra. That after all of the songs he made that came true, that he then makes some really cringe song for his latest tour, which is called Nazi Trump's Fuck Off. And because of the Nazi punks fuck off, but that was one of his least creative songs. He had these ingenious songs that I just sit there and I was like, this happened. You saw it in the brilliance of 1977, 78, 79, 80. This hit you and you saw it. It was The Government Flu, Trust Your Mechanic, Riot, and California Uber Alice. Those songs are actually brilliantly foretelling of the future. Hello. Sorry if I was messing with you there. Don't mean to mess with you, buddy. I think I have an arrangement with the crows. I think there's some kind of heavenly kind of spiritual thingamabob or something like that. Or it's just that they're really smart and I appreciate their smartness. And so, like, when they do something, I'm like thinking, oh, well, it's because you're really smart. And that they're like, oh, you know I'm smart, and so, yeah, I don't know. This would make sense to do if you think I'm smart. I'm like, well, what a sensible thing you've done, crow, because you're smart. I maybe it's that kind of relationship, that it's more about the observer than the observed. But anyway, so I was thinking about, okay, and so I kept rolling through how you end up with this weird way that something like Eric Hoffer has come so true of describing the left and mass movements. And then how sort of thankfully and almost miraculously the right has defied the mass movement temptation. There is no real squadre. There is no phalange. There is no philastery of brohams ready to go. Oh, if we could only call upon the Hammer Squad, you know what I'm saying? If only we could call upon the Hammerskins, to come in and rain hell on some fucking weirdos. But no, that's not even a thought on the right. In fact, it's not just an anathema in kind of concept of what I've seen from actually develop out of the New Right. The beauty is what's come out of the New Right is something that is the most wonderfully wholesome and Christian thing I could have hoped for. I mean, it's that kind of weird feeling of don't disturb it because you'll taint it with your Gen X sinfulness. There's even a kind of confidence that's paid off. Fuentes was saying that the left and the Hispanics and stuff, this was kind of an inseparable thing. And Styx, Hex, and Hammer argued against that, saying what the stats were showing. And I concurred with him. And my concurrence with Styx, Hex, and Hammer on that demographic kind of thing was, well, no. Most of the people I knew growing up in the 90s, early 90s, we graduate in 1993, who entered the forces, a huge portion of them were Puerto Rican, El Salvadorian, and Mexican, because of a long tradition of the concept of being a warrior for your nation, and that it was simply natural. It was a natural duty. It was just normal. Now, me raised as this descendant of Chicago Democrats, something like this was not normal. The armed forces was so that, ooh, check it out. Yes. Because I gotta let it go. That entering the armed forces for my father was a beleaguered admission of sort of things falling apart. I never got a feeling he really enjoyed. There we go. On another one. Yeah. Bro, this is freaking great. I never got the idea he enjoyed it. Nor did my mother. I think that aspect of the 70s really tried them. And I think to some degree, this idea of the collapse of the economy over and over and over again was meant to just kind of make people more and more beleaguered. Even though their microwaves got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, as did all of their various wares and various items. So it's just this part of my mind that like I've been rolling over. The left now is at the solid stage of a mass movement. Well, I had a little something to drink. And I thought, no, I should make something a little more wholesome, a little better. Dig deeper. The left has reached the mass movement stage. And so instead of being mad at Jello Biafra for making his recent song for his recent tour, I should actually really approach it this way. Of the left now are this group of people that are sort of artists with very little rapport with any audience consistently. And then there's sort of the vain issue of alliance. people said allies, and I wanted to point something out about that idea. You have allies, and this was a popular term all across the internet and social media that was supposed to recreate the way that we thought about politics, was having these quote-unquote allies. Well, and I used to make sure to point out this implies, obviously, that this is some type of war against some force. And of course, what the leftists end up saying is it was white supremacy and such like. Well, in the long run, the problem that you end up having with trying to insist on allies is that they have the same interest as you. That they see a good reason to be your ally. Allegiances are fraught with that issue specifically. Well, what's really in this for me, see, that was the thing I also didn't think of. I didn't understand why people insisted on using that term. Why allies? When it would be more like friends is what you would really want to be calling people, not allies. Allies are easily broken. Allegiances. Yeah. So I was just, now the left has boxed themselves into this, that this specific realm of politics that involves the concept of allegiances. Oh, our movements are allied. Where rather than on the right, it's a bunch of people who are like, wait, you think the same thing? We don't have anyone who talks to you people. Oh my god, this idea. Oh wow, I had not even rolled through that one. There we go. Let's slow down. Let's slow down on it. Yes. On the right, no one had any concept that so no one knew what the Orthodox were. There we go. There's a great place. There's a great example. No one knew what the Orthodox were. I, in fact, made sure to send a Protestant a copy of the Philokalia because I so fell in love with the writing style of Archimandrite Kalos Ware. I believe it's Archimandrite, correct? Somebody will correct me for certain. Because it's very exacting language. It goes back 2,000 years or so. So that idea that I would have that kind of interaction, that sort of interaction with people, that something that we would never discuss the writings of the ancient saints. I was actually just sent a text only about 24 hours ago now about a full volume of the Desert Fathers that's been done vocally, possibly by AI, possibly by an actual person, an actual reader. I didn't get a chance to check it out. Put on YouTube. This is the democratization of information has benefited the right tremendously, and the left, the way the left has demonized just this concept of, well, yeah, you're literate, yeah, whatever, yeah, you you can read things and evaluate what you're reading and what you're thinking about it and how truthful it sounds and how well it's put together, how coherent the internal logic is. No. Oh, no. No, you need more education. What's very fascinating that I've thought about is how when the arguments that come from the left are allowed to veer into this realm of education, that one of the key things about the left that keeps happening is you could be a professor, but if you don't agree with them, you will need more education. And that's the fascinating part about it that I've seen has now failed, and like people are getting it like more. And what that means is that actually the youth have gone through a phase of information democratization, that and then information interpretation, and I forget, it was informational literacy, such that now the left is actually they had actively been trying to focus on informational literacy because they knew what was up. They knew people were seeing, really, everyone has experienced this, that you look at a bunch of headlines and you start figuring out where it's already going. Or you see the headline and there will be a little section underneath and you start figuring it out real fast, like where this is going. Now, some people might even go so far as to, they look at the headline, look at the undersection that shows a line or 3 or 4 or 5, just short of a paragraph. And then they look at the last name. Now, that's not nice. You shouldn't do that. Because there's no pattern there to notice. See, your pattern recognition stops solidly at anything that could be interpreted as a last name that might be shared among among a certain group, or various phenotypic qualities that are shared by a group. That's no. See, you can't be. You need more education if you think that. If you think that, you need more education. That's what the present zeitgeist is. And, oh wow. I wonder if this bird's going to do this again. This is great. This bird is actively up to something. Look at this. Check it out. Oh, dang, I caught him. He's up to something, dude. What is that? What are you up to? That crow's up to something. He was picking away at something. He found something good. And it was big as hell. He was trying to fly off of it. I came along. It's like, hold on. Hold on. What's his cat up to? I love watching animals. I've been enjoying the bulldogs. Bulldog shorts, such as Barkley. Barkley's apparently famous now. I don't want to be in the viral ones, but the one that I really like is the marmot, the Tibetan marmot. That thing is adorable. Oh my God! When people are feeding that thing like biscuits and like showering the Tibetan marmot, like, cleaning it off, and it'll move around, and it's just adorable. Oh my God. Like, how do you resist those things? Yeah. It's amazing. It's like a little bear. It stands up. Doesn't do a whole lot. I gotta admit, that's kind of the wonderful thing about marmots. They don't do a lot. It's kind of funny. But it seems like they don't do a lot. It doesn't come across like they get up to a whole lot. But maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't understand. And then there's the beaver channels, where people have rescued a beaver. Goddamn adorable. Oh my God. And the beaver naturally just collects things and puts it in a place where it thinks it needs a dam. It's absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Where the beaver is building a dam in a hallway out of stuffed animals, and you're just like, that's great. You do that. You achieve your evolutionary heritage. Yeah, I'm a little. I had a couple. And I was like, no, you need to get some sun. You need to walk around, get some sun, have a little healthier. And I mean, I really ranted on Jello Biafra. That wasn't healthy. That's not healthy. That's not good for you. And see, it is healthy. Look at this. Look at it. People engaging in frolicking. That's the point. That is the point. See? Look at that. Look at it. As I get old and see, I'm like, yeah, look at that. And one day they'll look back on these days and they'll be like, and then I went and had some kids and settled down and it was wonderful. You know, and they'll have a song they remember from these days. That's the point. That's the whole point. Back to normal. Back to something like a kind of normal. That's the point. So anyway, one of the things that also hit me about watching the left become mass movement was that there was no way really around that at some point they would have to get into this issue of, okay, so somebody like me who was into punk rock and like, I wasn't ever really into goth or anything, but like I knew like I had an ex-girlfriend who that was her sound, modern rock and goth, you know, and there was just, and she would describe certain bands and she's like, to her, Nine Inch Nails was weird. She was like, yeah, this was weird stuff. I remember noticing. I remember then being on certain forums and people like skinheads, old skinheads from the early days of it, how they thought Oi was really weird. And there was especially the newer and newer it got weirder and weirder to them. And then when people introduced things like kind of like the really like 2000 early 2000s psychobilly and stuff, and people were like, this isn't really it's kind of weird. That now and then I just kind of noticed it, but the thing that set me off was the zombie movies. The penchant for zombie movies, first among millennials and then Gen Z, that this had died to some degree in the 80s and 90s, the earliest 90s, and then came back big. And I was like, well, I guess people like zombies. But I was just never into it. I just thought I was kind of a dumb bad guy. Didn't make a lot of sense. And the overwhelming, like, weird fixation on it started to really throw me off. And finally I'm like, this is a little strange. Just like how gang stuff was really big with my generation. Being like real and being gangsta and stuff. There was just something about the whole idea of like, it's us against hordes of people who have, like, gone rogue in some way, you know, and you just have to gun them down, you know, and as quickly as possible before they infect you. And they can't get near you. That's a key thing. It finally started, I started to put together, I sort of whittle it down. Dyer is the one who makes you do that kind of shit. Not only Jones, but Dyer will totally make you do that. Where you, like, whittle it down. You're like, wait a second. Let me start walking through this, you know. They can't get near you. They're babbling things you don't understand, you know. And I'm like, yeah. To the left, of course, a lot of people who actually make sense and are thinking with their frontal lobe come across as zombies to them. Because they're like, why are you acting like that? You know, nobody's against you. Nobody's coming to get you. What are you even talking about? And so they're like, no, none of you zombies. Y'all trying to trick me, you know, whatever it is. And there was a part of my mind that doubted this for a very long time, until Disney songs came on at a job I had. And all the women knew all the princess movie songs. Like, all of them. Every last fucking song. To the point that I started to really kind of get this fascination of how deep does the Disney cult go in our society? Because, I mean, I couldn't remember a single male character at all. I mean, Aladdin, Pinocchio, there we go, Pinocchio. I can't think. That's great. The moment I try to think of the name of the prince in Snow White, I think Prince Valiant, and that's not the same prince. So I have no idea who that character's name is. I actually can't think of almost any male character's name in a classic Disney movie other than Pinocchio and a couple of others. This is kind of weird now that I walk through this. Because the movies were pretty much about, shit. I hadn't really thought about that until this moment. Well, that's great. What an awesome, this is awesome. All right. You guys fill me in. I mean, there's, what's his face? With the magic carpet. Oh my God, I don't remember his name either. It wasn't Alibaba. It was, shit, I can't even remember his name. None of that, it just doesn't come to me. I don't think of these characters but I mean, to know all the songs that they might have sung, down to, like, where, I mean, I could sing along with them. That just, I mean, I just don't know. I don't have that experience. Nothing like that. And that was something that hit me. I'm like, that's foreign enough to me, but a part of my culture that I should note it. I should just remember this could come back in a way that later I look on it. And there's this part of me that was very cynical about it at the time. Where I was like, I'll look back on this in horror. But sure enough, I'm looking back on it kind of in horror. And, and so now I'm just fascinated now by this. So the cat. The left is now becoming so. Oh, double cat. Triple cat. Oh yeah, these three that are always hanging out here. Yeah, one of them's Pookie, I believe, or Pookie is one of another of those cats. I think I've shown you guys Pookie now and then. But anyway, that's what's going on in my mind about all of this. The left is now becoming a kind of mass movement similar to Eric Hoffer. Now that's fascinating. These people no longer have their gender flags up. That's weird. I wonder what happened. Anyway, everything is happening like that, though. Where all of a sudden you're like, yeah, you're gonna stifle that. Where a lot of it was it stifle that. What was that from Lois? What was her name in Archie Bunker? Stifle it, blah blah. And it was, oh my God, it's totally like that. It's totally happening like that. All right, talk to you guys soon. Peace.